Welcome to This Week in the SFL. Along with Paul Sarp, I'm Cameron Irvine, here to break down Season 20, Week 8. Good evening, Paul.
Hey there, Cam. How you doing tonight? SFL Nation, excited to be here. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about here after this weekend.
Doing pretty well, Paul. And this weekend was a little bit of a snoozer. A couple of blowouts, maybe 6, 7. But we're here to be honest about about what we saw this weekend. We're here to break down the good, bad, and the ugly every week, right, Paul?
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. And it's Impact Monday. It's a spectacular event, Cam, and week after week.
Let's get to the headlines from Week 8. Vancouver takes control of the Pacific with their narrow win over Florida and Portland's loss. Same old, Paul, as Vancouver is back in the lead of that Pacific Division. Hey, how about the gridlock in the South and the Central? 3 teams over 500 in each of those divisions and all within one game of each other. Who knows who's going to come out on top of that? And we'll talk more about the West Division in Arizona as well a little bit later in the show. Do we have some new championship contenders in the house? Tulsa, 5-2. They dominate Louisiana. San Diego rolls over Charleston. You like to see those championship contenders, Paul, beat down teams that you're even not expecting them to beat down.
Yes and no, because like we're seeing here is Tulsa. Are they a new contender? And I personally believe yes, they are. I think Tulsa is definitely a team to watch out for. And as far as them going in and going up against Louisiana, it's not like Louisiana's a team that's typically getting beat up on. So it was just impressive to see Tulsa go out there and just play lights out the way that they did.
It was impressive. We'll get to more from the Tulsa and Louisiana game a little bit later, but we start this week in Los Angeles, Paul, where we had plenty to talk about. How about this run? Oh, put the foot in the ground and go. Logan Jack, one of the best runs of any player all season long, gets us started here on This Week in the SFL as he ties the game at 7. Look at this one again.
It's an incredible job from Logan Jack. Like you said, putting the foot in the ground and just off to the races, beating out on all the defenders. Nobody could catch him, breaking a tackle there in the red zone, and just going across for a touchdown there.
Wasn't all easy for Los Angeles on this day. Strongbow gets a safety for Sioux Falls. The reason why that's interesting, it makes the score 9-7, which was the last score these two teams played. But Sully Richardson would quickly eliminate that. Jack Flash, who was hurt last week with the touchdown, makes it 17-9. LA on top by 8. The winless Lycans, the 13.5-point home dog Lycans. But the extra point was blocked, 16-9. So instead, it's Noe Terrasas getting behind the defense. He scores, and Sioux Falls ties the game at 16 late in the first half. Noe's got to dance. Next possession, Sully Richardson throwing dots. How did he complete that one? Pass A.J. Levy, one of the best passes you'll see all season. Tie game at 23. Still in the first half. Look at Sully. He's just putting it on these receivers. Touchdown, LA. They had not scored over 30 points in 3 seasons. They scored 30 in the first half. They score 44 in the game. Beat Sioux Falls 44-30 for their first victory of the season. More on LA in just a moment. But first, in that game, Julian Tyree set the all-time passing yards record in the ball game, surpassing Matt Wilson. Tyree now 52,030 passing yards, 307 touchdowns, and an all-time QB rating of 84. The most efficient quarterback on this list is Wilson, QBR of 91.6. That's why he's considered the GOAT, and his 374 touchdowns are a distant first to everyone else on this list. But what I found most fascinating while we celebrate Tyree here tonight is that 4th and 5th aren't even playing anymore, and they're still top 5 on this list. What do you think about Tyree's achievement and the company he keeps?
Yeah, Julian Tyree finally passing the GOAT, Matt Wilson, as far as passing yards goes, still about 67 touchdowns away from the passing touchdowns record. But I'll tell you what, Cam, that is a lot of passing yards. And for players number 4 and 5 to not even be in the league playing, there's a big gap between Julian Tyree and even Ron Cochran, still 6,000 passing yard difference there with Ron Cochran still active. But Julian Tyree, as long as he keeps playing, he's going to continue to grow that lead and sitting at top by himself as far as passing yards goes.
And there's plenty of retired quarterbacks just off this list. Christian Christensen, Mike Dazzo, Ashley Jackson is actually the closest to cracking the top 5, but even she's still a ways away. Top 5, great company for Julian Tyree. He makes it happen. Back to Los Angeles before Paul and I give our thoughts on their big-time win. Let's hear what Robert Thump had to say with Ashley Jackson this week on an all-new, beautiful-looking PGI.
What is up, SFL Nation? And we are back with PGI. And I have a good friend of mine, Mr. Robert Thump. He is the defensive tackle for the Los Angeles Lakers. Just got their first win of the season. Man, how are you feeling?
Oh, it's great. Everybody's super excited. Hopefully get kind of some momentum going and see if maybe we can get lucky and sneak into the playoffs at the end.
Hey, exactly. So just a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Do you think that your position as defensive tackle, do you think that you're being utilized to the best of your abilities?
Yeah, I think there's kinks, right? There's a reason we're I think it's 1-6 right now. We just got our first win. So there's just some kinks we're trying to iron out, work out, but I think it's getting there. I personally had a great game. Obviously I wouldn't be able to do it with the other guys next to me. Okay. Yes, I think it's great. I think the whole team as a whole is doing really well. Obviously we're 1-6, so we're a little bit of a rough start, but we wouldn't be able to do it without the guys next to me and behind me and the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator both being willing to learning to adjust as we go along. So I think it's hopefully kind of sneak into the playoffs and see what happens.
So what has been the camaraderie been like in the locker room from the time you guys first started the season, going 0-6, and to now?
Sure. Yeah, so it was a little rough, and nobody likes to be 0-6, right? Nobody wants to, be in the league where you're 0-6, but there's a reason we got picked at number 2 in the last draft, and there's a reason that it's going to take some time. It's going to take a little more effort on our part, a little more patience, and just kind of working some kinks out. Everybody was super happy to get the win, no doubt. Hopefully, kind of momentum starts, going to our favor a little bit, and we just keep pushing.
All right, last question. What do you think was the secret to you guys winning over Sioux Falls this week? And you had but thinking about all the other games that you guys had, what was different about this week?
I think second half adjustments really helped us a lot, right? Because that's kind of when we broke out. That's when the defense took a big step forward that game. Instead of it being a back and forth game, the offense, took care of the ball, everything else you wanted to see from a team. So I think second half adjustments for that game compared to previous weeks was maybe a little bit more, I guess, just put together. The right plays were being called.
Indeed. 44-30.
Yes,
you guys did your thing. So congratulations. I hope to see more good things from you. I think last time I had Sully on the show, my SFL night show, I did say that you guys are going to win one, and you did. So congrats.
See, maybe we'll make it 2 now.
Hey, exactly. Well, thank you for your time, and good luck next week.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Cam, Paulie, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley, and thanks to Cameron Curtis for refreshing our PGI segment for us and Ashley tonight. Great job on that. But Paul, in a week where we saw a bunch of bad teams play bad, it was nice to see Los Angeles get a win, even if it's probably too little too late at 1-6.
Sure, and hey, some of us have all been there at that winless stage in our careers, and to get your first win on the season, I've been there last season, and just a great job for the whole organization of Los Angeles to go in there and get the job done and securing your first win. Robert Thump, with the interview, he had a great game, 3.5 sacks. You had Sully Richardson, who played essentially flawless, 278 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Logan Jack played like a man possessed. He had 217 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. And again, Mike Scott had 2 interceptions on Julian Tyree's big historic night. And as far as what we can see maybe in the future, as far as if Los Angeles is necessarily, if we're going to see performances like this the rest of the season, their schedule moving forward is somewhat tough. They have Jacksonville, Vancouver, Florida, Indianapolis, and Seattle. But 1-6 previously, or currently right now, I think they'll be able to get 1 or 2 wins here the rest of the season, and excited to see how their season ends up.
Forward momentum is always good, and we'll see what Los Angeles can do with these final 5 weeks. Let's get back to the highlights. We go to Seattle, where the seemingly always fast-starting Nemesis take the lead in the second quarter, 10-3. But it wouldn't last long as Trellis Blanton, trying to go up 17-3, gets that 7 put on the other side of the scoreboard. Cody Griffin picks it off at the goal line, and he is out of here. Look at the teammates. Run, Cody, run! 10-10, tied up. I don't think Paul liked that joke very much. End of the first half. Trellis Blanton, deep shot down the field. That's caught. Nice little sidearm touchdown. David Gears. Seattle right back up, 17-10. Pew, pew, pew. But in the fourth quarter, Minnesota found a way. Johnny Reno finds Quag Mam. The first catch of the day for Quag makes it 20-17. Minnesota, Seattle with another chance. Late stages of the ball game. Blanton trying to get into the end zone. Caught, and it is short. Derek Meerkat, the player of the game, makes the touchdown-saving tackle on Patton. Seattle would then have to settle for a field goal. First play of overtime. Blanton's pass is picked off by Johnny Bravo. Bravo returns it into field goal range, where this man, Mikey Melillo, would have a chance to keep Minnesota ahead in the Central. 47-yard field goal. You know it. It's good. 23-20. Minnesota gets the win. 5-2 legend. And Mikey Melillo is here with us on PGI tonight with Ashley.
Welcome back, SFL Nation 2, where I am joined by Mr. Mikey Melillo. He is the kicker for the Minnesota Legends, and he was a legend in this game over Seattle. Man, how are you doing?
I am doing well. That was some ending of the game, let me tell you.
I bet it was. So take us back to that very moment where you're lining up to kick the ball, and once you kick it, do you have that confidence that it's going through? What was your reaction after it happened? Let us know, because you guys were tied. It was 2020. It was in your hands. How did it feel?
Well, it's the situation that every kicker wants to be in. Game on the line. You know it's up to you, and you just got to do what you train for day in, day out, and kick the ball through the upright. So I knew when I went out there, it was in my range. It was a comfortable range. You give me that shot, I'm going to win the game for the Legend.
All right, then. And that you did. So as I saw you sprinting to the sidelines, I saw you get toppled by your fellow team members. What were they saying to you?
They were just congratulating me. You won the game for us. Great job. You did it. And, you got my buddy Daniel Wright always going, Mickey, after I kick a field goal. So, it was just a great feeling. Kickers aren't out on the field scoring 6 points, scoring touchdowns. But when they get an opportunity to be able to do something to truly help the team, it's just fantastic.
Indeed. And I always say, anytime points are scored, that's you're that much closer to actually winning the game. So kickers matter, you matter, and you definitely helped them win this game. So congratulations on your big win.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And looking forward to seeing what you do on the field, or what you guys do on the field next week. And you have a good day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ashley.
All right. Cam, Paulie, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley. And while Paul, Seattle was 2-5, at least they took a good team to overtime. They played a really good football game, just didn't come out with the win. So we'll move on from that to some teams that didn't play very well and are in some trouble. Canton blasted by Mexico City on Saturday, 37-10. Chris Curtis nearly 50% completion rating. Kendra Wells with 1 catch on 4 targets and a win for a touchdown. Canton 284.7 yards per game is the worst since Portland back in season 15. So we're talking about offense going backwards here for the Classics. They got to turn it around in a hurry. They have now lost the North Division lead. Skippy with a $4.99 super chat to do a hair flip. Oh my goodness gracious. Have to do that after next time we're on camera. But Mexico City rolling. Nick Lockett a couple of touchdowns. Jordan Sipe completes 30 passes. Liam Ryan becoming a shutdown corner. And remember, Paul, Mexico City still has Fort Worth twice, Week 10 and Week 14. That'll decide the South more than likely.
Yeah, those matchups are definitely going to be a big deciding factor of who finishes first in the division. And this week, Mexico City just went in and handled business and took care of Canton Classics, beating them by 27 points.
That's Mexico City going to 5-2, and Canton falling to 3-4. Jacksonville has lost 5 in a row. Indianapolis is now 4-3. They blow out the Kings 42-20. Colin Pierce over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Ryan Roosevelt still leads the league in receiving yards by a mile. Third 40-point game, Paul, for Indy just in their first couple of seasons. Jacksonville, what is going on there? Ellington and Ochoa look great. 16 catches, 181 yards. All the rest of their targets, 4 catches, 25. Sanders missed about half the game with an injury. Bruin still throwing picks. Kings going downhill, while the Ramblers, a surprise mid-season surge right now.
Yeah, Indianapolis is definitely a high-flying team. They definitely know how to put points on the board. And as far as Jacksonville goes, Jacksonville is an extremely young team. Their veterans are stepping up, but the young dynamic of the team is, you just got to wait and trust the process. Give it some time in Jacksonville.
Moving on, Alamo City took out Motor City pretty easily, 34-17. Fennec with 1 yard shy of 300. Brad Jones was the star of this night, 135 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Alamo City looks like they may roll to a 6-3 start if they can take care of business on the road at Houston and at Queen City. One of the easier next couple of weeks in the SFL just based on the standings. Motor City continues to put up decent numbers, but they just can't put up points. They were on the field 10 less minutes than Alamo City. They don't have a running game right now. Christopher Dean couldn't get it going. And Motor City missed a golden opportunity, Paul, to really muck up that North Division. But as it stands, they still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, when you lose the time of possession battle by 10 minutes, it's tough to win games that way. As far as Alamo City goes, they are an extremely tough team that I believe the entire league of the SFL needs to keep on their radars.
Last blowout of the week, or at least the last one we're going to talk about right now, is Houston beating Queen City 38-14. Dave Burr was all over the place, hitting DR Sim for all 3 of his touchdowns. So 143 yards and 5 receptions. They were 11 of 14 on third down, Paul. It's insane. Queen City has the Lake Man go under 50%. It seemed like an all-or-nothing pass game plan from the Corsairs. They got a couple of bombs to Doug Spelling, but they didn't do much. And I don't think anybody has as tough a next 3 weeks as the 0-7 Corsairs. They've got the 4-3 Artillery, 5-2 Aztecs, and 5-2 Toros. Both of those last 2 on the road. I don't see a win on the schedule for the Corsairs unless they pull an upset, but at least Houston's won a couple in a row.
Yeah, definitely a tough schedule for Queen City. Looking at those 3 matchups, it's going to be a battle for them to get a win and get their first win of the season. We saw LA do it this week. Who knows if Queen City's going to do it next week. And as far as Houston, they have just had a heartbreaking season as well, but going in and handling business and coming in and taking the victory away from Queen City this weekend.
Not going to do the hair flip on our national TV portion of our show, but you will see it in Impact Monday's game preview here coming up in a little while. Instead, maybe Damon Simien will do a hair flip for us and join Ashley Jackson post-game.
Welcome back to PGI. And we are back with a good friend of mine, Mr. Damon Simien. He is the owner and head coach for Houston Headhunters. Man, I know you feeling really great getting this win over Queen City to make you guys 2-5.
Yeah, despite being 2-5, I am glad to get another win under the belt. It's been a crazy season, losing a few games, about 3 points, being right there in the thick of things, and then just not being able to, pull out at the end. And then we had some games, man, we just looked horrible offensively. Defensively, we looked pretty good, but offensively, we played really, really horrible.
Well, I'll tell you what, this game, y'all won 38-14. You had 269 passing, 156 rushing, 425 total. I mean, your time of possession was 25 minutes, so you had the right game plan for this. Longer, holding the ball longer, being balanced on both sides of the ball. So do you think that was the reason that you guys won this game?
Yeah, most definitely that we were balanced. I went back into, my archive and looked at some older playbooks that I had and basically implement some of those things that we ran previously into, the game plan this week. And it basically showed, on the field, if we stated 25 minutes of time of possession, that's outstanding for any ball club to do, so kudos to the guys on the field that made everything happen. Man, I'm just excited for this win. I'm serious.
I believe it. So, how do you think this affects your locker room at this point?
The locker room is basically been a little bit more talkative within the last 24 hours than it has been the previous, 4 weeks or so. It's been pretty crazy. Since we got our last win, it hasn't been that much, communication going on in there. But yeah, and, guys reaching out to me, hey man, I don't know what you did to the playbook this week, but keep doing it. It worked. So yeah, so it has been a struggle trying to get the playbook back to things that we normally do. As everyone knows, I've been on every show and stated that, I tried to come up with a type of system and it just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for us,
Hey, but that's trial and error. You try sometimes, some things it works, some things work out, sometimes it doesn't. But listen, I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season, and can't wait to see what you guys do on the field next week.
Hey, we got Alamo City coming in, and we'll be at home. And I'm actually scouting Alamo City right now. I got them guys up on the screen right now. So I'm doing what I need to do to make sure that we come out victorious.
Of course. You're DeMond Simien. Of course you are. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you.
No problem. More than welcome. See you when we see you.
Indeed. Cam, Paulie, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley. More highlights now to San Diego, and we start with Scar Patterson dialing it up to B. Robo in the back of the end zone. Pretty ball.
Scar Patterson off to having an awesome season so far, and as we saw right there, just throwing another dime and adding a touchdown to the total this season.
Here's a second dime from Scar Patterson right over the top. Pretty easy, but right on point. That's Dave Axis with the score. Axis and Robo were a great 1-2 punch on this night against the Charleston Predators, who are really struggling. Kentez Johnson picked off by Nate Hall. Kind of just threw it right to him. Predators just have no momentum, no juice right now, but Patterson in the back of the end zone hits Dave Axis, makes it 21-0. It's all Mavericks all the time. And that would continue in the third. Blocked punt. It's just nothing going right
Non-stop
for the Predators. Exactly. Non-stop from the Mavericks, trying to keep pace in the West Division. Finally, in the third, Charleston would harness some momentum. Patterson looking to the bottom of the screen, and a pretty interception from Mark Martin. Gets the ball down the sideline. And, I mean, for the first time in this entire game, Paul, it felt like Charleston had a little juice.
Yeah, to get that interception when he did, we're going to see that here again with the hand-eye coordination, tipping the ball, able to catch it and keep both feet in bounds, and then get some yards after the interception. Just a great play and a great somewhat momentum shift for Charleston moving forward.
Nice thing for the Preds. They get a touchdown off that turnover. Kentez Johnson to Jay Hayden. 21-7 in the fourth quarter. It's just a two-score game, but too much of these guys. Scar Patterson, perfect dime to the back of the end zone. Hits B. Robo again. His second touchdown makes it 28-7 San Diego, and they would come out with the victory 31-17 as the Mavericks go to 5-2. Charleston drops to 1-6. More routes. Next Level Sports game this weekend. Atlanta beat Portland 38-23, but it looks closer than it actually was. It was 35-14 there in the second half off of back-to-back Portland turnovers. And the Fleet better be careful because they got Tulsa next week, and then they got a bye. We could go a whole month without seeing a Portland victory. They're in some trouble right now. Exekiel Love did get 29 carries, but only 123 yards. And on the Atlanta side, it was the three-headed monster that we know. Mm-hmm. Dynasty, Hollywood, Chisholm, they were on top of their game. And they've won 6 of 7 games this season by double digits.
Yeah, Atlanta finally this season fully clicking as a team and just absolutely dominating every team that is lined up against them every single weekend so far in season 20 of the SFL.
Chris Covers, what up here in our SFL chat room? Ashley, show me some love.
What is up, SFL Nation, and welcome back to where I have a good friend of mine, Mr. Exekiel Love. He is the defensive coordinator as well as star running back for the Portland Fleet. Man, how are you? It's been a while.
Good evening, Ashley. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Always glad to see you, brother.
Pleasure to see you as well.
Thank you. So you guys had your debut on Next Level against Atlanta, and unfortunately it didn't work out for you guys. You lost 24-30, man. But you were telling me off camera that that score was definitely misleading. Please let us know why.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Atlanta. I love Atlanta. I love the guys in Atlanta. I really like that organization. Game was 14-14, second quarter. They came down, scored, made it 21-14. Following possession, unfortunately, I fumbled on the first play. Late in the second half, with a little bit over a minute to go, something like that. So they punched it in. But, end of the day, the final score, I think, was 38-23. But that game really fell on 2 plays, the fumble, and we had a pick 6, so you look at the game, it was a 24-23 game, but, no disrespect to Atlanta, great team. It's just, I think we played them tough. And we just came out on the losing end.
Indeed, for the score to be that close, you definitely played them tough.
So, it's 38-23, but there were two plays in that game that really turned the game, the fumble and the pick 6. Otherwise, I think it's maybe talk about a different story.
Gotcha.
But the goal, although we're 3-4, the goal for Portland has not changed. Our goal is to win that division. We still have a shot at the division because although Vancouver's 1 game ahead of us, we still beat them the first time. And if we are 1 game behind them, we still play them one more time this season. So we still have a shot at winning division, goes division, and get this team to the playoffs. That's not changed.
Gotcha. How has your experience been being one of the coaches over in Portland?
Oh, it's been great. It's been great working with Jacob, working with Mel, working with Nelson, everything, and putting the game plan together. It's been fantastic. That's not always perfect. How this game goes. Some things happen that you can't explain, and some things you wonder why the AI is doing what the AI does, but you have no control over it. You just do the best you can, put your game plan in, and you hope that everything goes as way you expect it to go. But it's been a lot of fun.
Indeed. Good group of guys over there in Portland. Love every last one of y'all.
I love working with Jacob. Of course, I love working with Mel.
Yes.
Right. And we go, of course, as cousins, we go way, way back doing this kind of thing. Nelson is great. The team is great. I I love Portland.
Awesome, man.
I love Jacob as an owner, man. Tell you.
Well, I'll tell you what. I cannot wait to see what you guys have in store for next week and for the rest of the season. I do wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you. We have a big game next week against Tulsa.
Right. Your old crew.
Boy, that's a tough game. It's going to be a tough one. It is. But we're definitely looking forward to it.
Oh, it's going to be good ball to watch, but I want to thank you so much for taking the time out with me tonight. And hopefully I'll be able to talk to you later on down the line.
I appreciate you very much. Thanks a lot, dear.
You're very welcome, dear. Have a good night.
You do the same.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Cam,
All right. Bye.
Polly, back to you.
Interesting perspective there, Paul, from Exekiel Love. He saw a game where 2 plays were basically the difference. I saw a game that, while they swung momentum, that put Portland behind the 8 ball, and they were unable to beat players one-on-one outside. The receivers are just not able to make those big plays down the stretch, seemingly. However, they're playing the best team in the league in Atlanta, so how much can you knock them? Either way, now they're behind the 8 ball. Tulsa comes in next week. They really need that game. Otherwise, things are going to start to snowball for them. But how did you see that game, Paul? Because it's just an interesting take there from Zeke.
Yeah, as far as Exekiel Love's take, I could see how he could maybe think that 2 plays could have shifted the momentum in the game. I've seen it happen before, but as you're playing the best team in the league, the Atlanta Swarm, it might be a little bit more than 2 plays when you're going up against a powerhouse such as the Swarm. And just credit to Atlanta for going in and getting the job done. They're just doing what they've done every single week we've seen them so far in the season, and that is get a win.
Now, I think we can all agree on one thing, and that's that Portland looked a little better than Louisiana this week, who did not have a good game against the Tulsa Desperados. A shocking loss. We were there in Houma just last week, Paul, when they beat Vancouver in the last minute of the game. And that was the best game we've seen on Impact Monday. And then they come out this week and just slayed a stinker. Tommy Utah had less than 100 yards of passing for essentially the entire game. Got some stuff done in garbage time. Douglas Brown didn't even have that good of a game, but Tulsa's defense was nasty, and Brooke Beisel tied the SFL record with 7 field goals. First shutout in the SFL since Louisiana shut out Charleston 15-0 in season 18. But this was the strangest game of the week, Paul, because we just had a bunch of field goals, a bunch of defense, and a bunch of question marks on Louisiana's road trip to Tulsa.
Yeah, this 0-point Louisiana offense is not what we saw last Monday, but you got to give credit to Tulsa. They have just been on a tear this season, and just getting the job done against a tough Louisiana team to be able to shut them out. Your kicker kicked 7 field goals for you, 21 points, and adding on a touchdown from Douglas Brown, shutting out the Revolution. Just an incredible job and game from Tulsa.
Brooke Beisel outscored Louisiana this week. She outscored Canton this week. She outscored Motor City this week. She outscored Jacksonville this week. She's got to be the player of the week. She's outscored half the teams that lost this weekend. It's just crazy. Let's start with the happy. Now let's go to J Rock.
What is up, SFL Nation, and welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with a good friend of mine, Mr. J Rock. He is the cornerback for the Tulsa Desperados that just won their game, shutout win, 0-28. Man, how are you feeling?
Man, we're feeling amazing over here at Tulsa right now with this, victory stretch we're running off of.
Hey, well deserved too. That was a heck of a game plan that you guys put together to be able to, score your 28 points, but hold them to no points, man. And then since you're on the defense, I know that made you happy.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially towards the end there, getting a couple of PDs. That's always a good feeling. Like, yeah, even though we got AIs, and I stay in the game, So I'm there for most of it.
Awesome. So in your opinion, what made this game so special?
Man, I know there's a big rivalry there. We coming into that game with a rivalry. They've never beat us before, and I was like, guys, if this is the game where they do it, it's going to be this one. So we got to work at it, just try to hold them to whatever we can hold them to. And unfortunately, we held them all to a shutout. And, we're just made. Honestly, everybody feels great after a shutout. It doesn't happen often. And it felt really good just coming in there and being able to shut down the Revolution like that at home, boost the morale for all the Tulsa fans out there that we're here to play football.
Yeah, apparently that hasn't happened in 2 seasons where you guys had a shutout game like that. So you definitely had the right game plan for it. So one more question for you. What is the general vibe in the locker room like right
Oh man, it's just everybody congratulating everybody. You know, when you got a bunch of guys on a team and y'all are all coming together and you're making all those cylinders work for you, especially during big games, it just feels amazing. There's no words that describe the feeling.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I do wish you guys much success. Of course, Tulsa is where I got my first start. So you're always going to have a place in my heart. Love you guys up there.
Oh,
And
we all love you.
oh, sweet. But wish y'all the best for the rest of the season. Good luck to you. And I'm looking forward to talking with you a little bit later on, okay?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Have me
Awesome.
back. I'll come back.
Okay, surely will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cam, Polly, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley. We have winners and losers on this show. That's why Paul Sarp is here, so that we don't have two losers on camera. And that means that we go to the losing locker room of this game. Let's see what Mike Ryan had to say about it. He sat down with Ashley.
What is up, SFL Nation? And welcome back to where I am joined with a good friend of mine, Mr. Tyler Falk, a.k.a. Mr. Mike Ryan. He is from the Louisiana Revolution that suffered a big loss from Tulsa, 0-28. Tyler, what happened?
Well, as the assistant general manager, as well as the agent for player Mike Ryan, it falls on me to be a little bit more diplomatic. And I will say that the team itself and our members are not happy with how we played yesterday, aka 2 days ago from here tonight on Monday. But when you are not able to have any big chunk plays that go for 20 yards plus, while you allow a few big chunk plays, 3 of them in total going over 20 yards, and the defense can't get off the field, it's a recipe for failure. And we saw that. And we have no one else to blame but ourselves. Tulsa came out with a fantastic game plan against us, and it showed. And Tulsa is one of those teams who, on the team and, as a commentator, I look at Tulsa as, they're an up-and-coming team. They know how to deal with situations. They have a more effective game plan now, and they played us to a T. And I tip my cap to them. They took us to task, and it showed with the shutout. They fully deserved a shutout victory on Saturday.
So what do you think Louisiana has to do for the next game? Because I don't want to necessarily go to the rest of the season, one game at a time. What do you think you guys have to change for next game?
Well, we just have to be more consistent on offense, and that's been a trouble with our couple of previous losses with Florida and Sioux Falls. We struggled with consistency. In those 2 games, we got out to a hot start, but then completely crumbled. This past game against Tulsa, we just never got going. Tulsa's defense came up with a couple of good turnovers in prime situations. We couldn't maintain a drive. So if we can maintain 3 or 4 drives, we're going to be contenders in a lot of these games. And of course, that's what we have to work on is that. And then we have to get back to basics on defense. I think we were just a little bit too lax in coverage when we played Tulsa, and it showed. They were able to convert first down after first down, on third down after third down, and yeah, we stopped them before they got to the end zone. They still kicked 7 field goals on us. Brooke Beisel had a fantastic game and tied the league record. And again, that's the credit to Tulsa's offensive game plan. No longer are they trying to take, they did take their deep shots, but they're more proactive when they take them. So that's
Gotcha.
To change everything up. We have to go back to being consistent on both offense and defense.
Well, if anybody can turn it around, I'm sure the Revolution can. And I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. And thank you.
Ashley.
You're very welcome. And thank you so much for taking the time out with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Cam, Polly, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley. Back to the highlights as Vancouver was in Florida on Friday night, and early and often nobody was guarding receivers on the outside for Vancouver. That one to Justice Blackwell, this one to Chris Curtis, and quickly the Legion built a 14-7 lead. Wasn't all through the air, it was on the ground too. Robert Redford got things going in the second quarter for Vancouver. Christian Brown gives it off to him here, and Paul, literally no one touches him for 45 yards.
Yeah, as we have seen already, that is the third play of over 50 yards just in the first half of this game. So defense is not necessarily all on the same page in this game, but the offenses, how about these high-flying offenses putting points up on the board early?
Not Ron Cochran, as Michael Lister is intercepted there, although he did have one touchdown pass early in the game, but that would give Christian Brown another opportunity before the end of the half. And what do you know, Paul? It's another 50-plus yard play where no one's touched. Curtis gone again. He's now second in the SFL in receiving yards, and you'll see on Next Level Sports next week the top two receivers when Ryan Roosevelt and Chris Curtis are on the field at the same time. But in the third quarter, Florida starts to get it going. Ron Cochran, Averitt, and Zarkov streaking down the field, makes it 28-20. Vancouver comes right back from one tight end to the other. James Walters from Christian Brown makes it 35-20. Florida, next possession, fourth quarter, strikes right back. Touchdown in the end zone, Art Vandelay. That's good, 35-27. Vancouver gets a field goal, and the ensuing possession with 2:35 to go in the fourth is another Ron Cochran touchdown pass. 38-33, two-point conversion. Look at Optimus Klein there. Shallow left end zone, running to the right. Look at him pass through all the zone, and he gets it. Plenty of coverage, or plenty of time for Ron Cochran to throw it. And then down 6 after a failed onside kick, but a force of a field goal. Stephen Bush scores the touchdown for Florida, and you think, holy moly, Florida is going to end up pulling this out and dumping Vancouver to 3-4. It was not to be on this night at the I. Vancouver would improve to 4-4 all-time on the road against the Storm, thanks to Chance to Win's 29-yard field goal at the buzzer. Good, 44-42. Finally, a close game. Vancouver takes control of the Pacific. So, to the standings we go. Here's your updated look at the playoff standings. We start first at the top with Atlanta, then Vegas, still your number 2 seed. Vegas, Baltimore, Arizona, none of them have played this week. Arizona plays tonight against the DC Dragons, but Baltimore and Las Vegas had a bye. So Arizona has an opportunity to get to that 2 spot, or they could take a tumble since they are not leading their division. Mexico City and Minnesota are leading their division, and that is why they are in the 5th and 6th spots. Tulsa has an SOV advantage over San Diego. They would be in the 7th spot right now. And Carolina and Fort Worth with 4-2 records would start the playoffs on the road, Paul. It's a top-heavy season we're having right now, and that is messing up the standings. Carolina beat Fort Worth in a head-to-head. That is why they're 9. Vancouver, a division winner, is 11 right now, and London gets in for winning the North at 12, but with a 3-3 record. That would leave 3 teams over 500 on the outside looking in. Alamo City, Louisiana, and Indy, and Sioux Falls a distant 16th. Let's go back to that West, Paul, where Vegas, Arizona, and San Diego are all in the top 8, all within a half game of each other. Who do you think is going to win this division? It is wide open.
Yeah, this West, I believe it is totally up for grabs. One of the big deciding factors of who is going to win this West division is if Arizona can get it done tonight against DC, and then next week where Arizona and San Diego meet. So I personally believe that the winner of that game will win the West, but you can't count out Las Vegas, who's been on fire this season. They'll rematch against Arizona in their final game of the season, and I know I was saying that San Diego, Arizona might determine the West, but you never know if Arizona and Las Vegas, that final game in Week 14, is going to decide the West.
I think you're onto something with Arizona and San Diego. They only play each other one time, so that's going to be a huge tiebreaker. But Vegas ends the season with Baltimore and Arizona in back-to-back weeks. They are known to fade late. So until Vegas can come out of that 2-game stretch showing me that they are ready, to make a serious championship push, gotta lean Arizona at the moment with that half-game lead on San Diego. But then ultimately that Arizona-San Diego winner is going to be big, and that's a bunched up standings. We certainly know that. This has been This Week in the SFL, Season 20, Week 8 edition for our Next Level Sports audience. Thank you for watching. Enjoy SFL, more SFL action on Next Level Sports. For our YouTube audience, stay tuned. We've got Impact Monday and the Impact Monday preview coming right up. Don't go everywhere. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back and see you later on NLSE.